So you can see on that one, we only have sadly one that actually works, but Robert, I've seen that one, you guys haven't yet. And neither of my parents, I don't think. But that one, you can see the current air pressure inside the house, the humidity, and the temperature. We also have another one that's in the bedroom. Sorry.
Eventually, these will have, they will be encased in a, eventually these prototypes that you're showing us now will be encased in like a regular
Enclosure, yeah.
enclosure.
Yeah, they'll have cases. These are still just prototypes. These actually will never be in cases, but the final ones will. So, forgive us, but Lauren, it's living room, correct?
Living room, yes.
So we have one of these in our bedroom. I opened up the window in there so it cool off a bit. So that's actually the current temperature in my bedroom. And let me see here. Over here, if we click on the data, if you can all see that. But as we moved it around the house, this is a very early test, obviously. But you can see it having been moved around the house and the temperature fluctuating, and then it's starting to stabilize as we've left it in the bedroom for the entire time we've been eating it here. So the sensors all work. We only have 3 of them at the moment, and a couple that we've just hand assembled from commercial off-the-shelf parts. But everything's working pretty well, and we're extremely pleased with the progress that we've made, given the number of hours we've been able to apply to this and the amount of money we've had to work with. Lauren works a full-time job as an engineer, so this is a lot of the software has been written on a part-time basis. And to date, the corporation has received a total of about $5,500. About $1,500 of it has not even been spent yet because we just received it. But, you know, all of this was done on about $3,000, and that includes incorporating the corporation and all the related activities to that. Sorry. So you can see on the page after the financial one that you have a picture of these prototypes that we just passed around. The one on the, yeah, I should have just stapled, I don't know, all of them together maybe.
No, this is better.
Anyway, so the top one is, the top image there that you see is the one that we just passed around the room. Now, the bottom one is the next revision that we are working on. It should be printed and here by, the board should be back by Tuesday, and we should have them assembled within a week after that. These are also, as you can tell, they're bigger than the ones that we just passed around, about 1.5 times. So this new board, the new sensor that we're working with, is 1 inch by 2 inches. It's a very small little sensor. We managed to miniaturize it a lot, which reduces the costs significantly and, you know, makes it a lot more flexible.
This is the same thing though?
This
is 1 by 2 inches?
No, the bottom one is 1 by 2 inches.
Okay.
And then the top one is what we just passed around. Yes, it does exactly the same thing. In fact, that screen that you see on it is bigger than the board that will be sitting behind it. So, you know, on the models without the screen, they could be really tiny, really tiny.
Are the smaller ones more expensive?
No, they're cheaper.
Oh, that's
Because you pay per square inch for the board, and it has some more advanced components, but they replace a lot of other smaller ones, so they end up becoming in a cost savings for us. So it's a much more efficient design. We can't take entire credit of it, but it's a part of what's called open source hardware projects where people, other engineers collaborate to build things. And so we borrowed a lot of design from these other designs that are freely available to piece it together. Whereas the first one, we did it entirely by ourselves. We realized that we are far outclassed in circuit board design, but being that this was our first circuit board we had ever designed, and there's efficiencies to be gained by collaborating with other individuals. Which is also part of the reason why we started to get the paperwork in place that we all signed this morning, those of us who are involved, that assigns all the intellectual property that we do create to it, to the company, and then the parts that we borrow from the commons, basically, we contribute back to that to further improve what's already out there. So it's a really good give and take system to get small startups off the ground so they can write the software around hardware that's not necessarily their primary business. We have on the second page the enclosures that we're also working on getting designed, and they should be ready within about a week and a half. And yeah, it's a really rough idea, but basically it's a little hexagon no wider than the screen of what we just passed around. And it's enclosed in plastic, and it should be really relatively rugged. I'm going to show you our next video where we kind of explain where we're going with the company next.
And I'm Lauren.
And we have a great idea we want to bring to market.
But we need your help for it.
Our product is an innovative solution for monitoring your environment and using that information in dynamic ways. These are sensors that collect information about your surroundings. Currently, that's temperature, humidity, and air pressure. They then relay those values to a website with an intuitive user interface where you can view that information over time.
You can take a look at how the weather is trending outside or compare the temperature in the different areas of your home. Do you have collectibles, a wine cellar, or an aspiration for home meteorology? Then this is the first and last place that you need to look.
These current prototypes we have deliver highly accurate information to the user in a variety of useful graphs. You can observe fluctuations over the past 24 hours or averages for the week. Exceptions are highlighted so that you can take immediate action. Now that we are past the prototyping stage, we need you to back this project, and we will begin focusing our energy on fleshing out the features and smoothing the edges.
Our platform is capable of providing much more functionality than we are currently using. Backers will have the option to select between the stable track and the rapid development track. This track will have features added much more quickly at the cost of performance and availability, and you will be able to help shape the development process.
We're currently working on email and text message alerts, notifying owners of exceptions. Is the humidity too low in your wine cellar? Did the air pressure suddenly drop? Is your greenhouse temperature rising too quickly?
These will have highly configurable, rule-based alerts that will allow you to react to your environment, not merely observe it.
You don't really have to clap for that. As everyone can clearly tell, neither Laura nor myself are actors, nor videographers, or script writers. Just to clear that up.
The other one was really good.
My only comment on that one right there is over a lot of people's heads when it comes to something.
Right.
I mean, sure, you can react to your environment, but what environment do you want to react to? I mean, like your air pressure, you don't want to react to your air pressure. I mean, you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we're developing a pitch that's actually it's the welcome letter that was hopefully on top of the packets that explains in general what this is referring to, a lot of it. So I want to really quickly go over what the concept of a Kickstarter is, just so that it's something we can make everyone familiar with. Kickstarter is a concept of crowdfunding, where people take their money and pledge it toward a campaign of someone trying to raise resources to build a product that they can't yet build. So using Kickstarter, you can say, I have this great idea, but I can't afford to manufacture it, and I'm going to use this platform to do it. These videos are created for our Kickstarter campaign. So people who are at the website, they read something very similar to the welcome letter. They watch the video, they see how much it costs, and they make a decision whether or not it's worth pre-ordering in essence. Now, Kickstarter can have a good and bad turnout. A lot of campaigns fail, a significant number of them. The ones that fail generally don't have videos. Once you add a video, it significantly increases your chances of success because people can really get to see what you're talking about. You know, text only conveys so much. And actually seeing the prototypes running does a lot to reassure people that you're not going to rip them off. Some campaigns are successful, however, and sometimes they're marginally successful. This is one that we've actually spent money on ourselves. They were asking for $18,000 to build basically a little tripod thing, right? And it ran for about 30 days, and they got almost $22,000, and so they got their money. If you don't get $18,000, then you don't get anything. If you don't get what you asked for, everyone gets their money back, basically. They had 779 customers, so they were successful. Not a wild success, but as I hear, they're almost ready to ship.
They have shipped.
Oh, they are shipped?
Yeah.
So, actually, Grant and us both backed that. So, it's a good example of what can happen in a successful Kickstarter campaign. Now, of course, there's exceptions, right? There's a lot that fail. There's a lot also that succeed. And then there's a few that go above and beyond what anyone would consider a normal success story. There it goes. So these guys were asking for $100,000 for a watch, to build watches. I think they were $100 a piece. They got $10.26 million and 69,000 people pre-ordered them.
Wow.
You had really big boutique companies in New York and stuff buying them in lots of several thousand.
And they didn't even have one made yet when they did
They
this?
had prototypes, just like what we just passed around, the watches. So they were in the prototyping stage, but they did not have the product with an easy manufacturing. These are out on the market today. You can buy them, you can put it on your wrist, walk around with a $100 watch with a touch screen. That's something you want. Apparently, a lot of people wanted it. That's obviously the exception rather than the rule, but it shows that there's a lot of potential in this sort of campaign. Everyone has an Xbox or a Wii or something like that. So some group came up with the idea of building their own around Android, the same operating system on some people's phones like this one, but it sits on your shelf and you play games on it. And 8.6 almost million people, no, $8.6 million worth of 63,000 people decided that was a worthwhile investment, and they were asking for $950,000, which is actually a very large sum of money. This one, most people did not anticipate succeeding because they were asking for so much money and they're building such an ambitious project. But because of the momentum they developed behind their campaign, it was an incredible success. So we're obviously not pretending that we're going to be in this $8 to $10 million range, but it does exist. And even if we're more humble than that, you can even get $23,000 to $30,000 for a tripod mount. So Kickstarter as a concept is a sound concept. When campaigns fail, it's because either the product isn't good, or they don't do a good job marketing it, or they just fail to deliver on a good idea. And that's because people didn't do their research that, they talked good, but they didn't have any prototypes. They didn't have the skill set to build what they're offering. So that's kind of the concept behind Kickstarter. The videos that you've seen, there's another video in just a moment. We're asking for $30,000 from our Kickstarter campaign. It's a very average, goal for your Kickstarter campaigns. It's not really high up there, and it's not so low that we can't actually create these products. Our pledge points start for the pair of sensors like what you see here for about $150. Gets you the base station that sits in your office, has a screen like what we passed around. You can see the temperature outside or anywhere remotely, and it'll connect to the internet. And then it has another sensor that doesn't have a screen, sits outside. It's in a nice ruggedized container like you see in the pictures of our enclosures, and transmits that information. And then from $150 it goes up based on how many sensors you add. So those are our goal and price points. I want to show you another video really quickly of just what that kind of looks like. This is also going on our Kickstarter page. So Observos is different from the current temperature sensors on the market in that rather than a limitation of only 3 sensors, this can be expanded from 1 to 300 sensors. There are really no effective limitations on how many sensors you can attach to it. In addition, pairing is dead simple for our product compared to what's currently on the market. What we've played with in the past, you have to put the batteries in the remote and then put the batteries in the base station, and they have to be 10 feet apart, and that has to be done within 15 seconds of each other for every remote and the base station, or else you have to start over again. And if one remote has its batteries die, then you're going to repeat that process for all units in your network. Ours is a learning network, and it meshes very well, so you can have multiple sensors in rows of greenhouses, and there is no effective limit on the range. So you can have the furthest remote sensors reporting data back to your smartphone, even if you're not even on site. The consumer grade sensors have a significant price disparity between what can go on the internet and what cannot. The typical home use sensors that you buy at the local market are only going to be maybe $40, $50, but they're not going to get you online. And to get onto the internet, you really have to buy a full weather station from the current vendors, and that's going to run you $300 or $400. Our product, Observos, aims to simplify that by reducing the barrier to entry, where just a single sensor and base station will be able to publish to the internet, to WeatherBug's website or Weather Underground, or to publish to anything you want.
The ability to have a true email or text message alert from the system when any sensor goes out of range, so that you do not be constantly monitoring your sensors. With most consumer products on the market, you have to walk up to a wall and look at a screen to see what the current temperature is in the room.
We spend a lot of time on the design of the devices so that they're intuitive to use compared to current devices on the market, which aren't at all intuitive, and so that they provide a lot of functionality at a great price point. We have personally been disappointed in what we can buy with our money for what's on the market today, so we hope to improve upon that by providing a great feature-full package at a reasonable price point.
Various amateurs or other hobbyists who are involved in things such as their own winemaking or wine cellars often have to have detailed logs to record their temperature and humidity so that they don't lose all their investment on their project, or other similar hobbyists.
I think that our biggest market would probably be enthusiasts of some sort. Either people who have something expensive that they really want to monitor the condition of. I have a wine cellar, a common collection of load, or something that needs to have very precisely maintained temperature control and humidity control in that environment. Enthusiasts also who enjoy home meteorology, which is a very interesting concept, but it's got an expensive barrier to entry. We've reduced that barrier now. It's a great educational tool for children who have an interest in science, but don't have access to the tools to really monitor their environment and surroundings. Another application that we're hoping to target in the very near future, especially if we're able to exceed our Kickstarter goal, is immersion sensors that are made of food-grade sensors, so that for people who are very interested in home brewery or winemaking, or any kind of hot holding or cold holding of food, can be done remotely with notifications immediately of exceptions, of temperature ranges that are very specific, especially in cooking situations. If you're barbecuing your steak, you could be inside and get a text message when it's medium rare.
No way. No way.
Not wrong, anyway.
So,
We're more hardcore when it comes to that. We gotta be.
Kickstarter requires some answers, some questions be answered when a campaign is run to kind of show that you're legitimate and that you've actually thought through your campaign. You have an idea that you're actually going to be successful. So that video really aims to answer those questions in a nicer format than just typing up an essay of this is the yeses and nos and why we think we're going to succeed. So that is the Kickstarter campaign. We have several other big opportunities available ahead of us. Oh my! Tarzan is...
Okay, Tarzan.
That's appropriate, right?
Is that, what we've seen, is that what you're gonna present for the Kickstarter?
Correct. Yeah, so those
Okay, have
three
you gonna
videos...
alter that any at all?
We've kind of gotten sick of trying to tweak it a lot, and it answers all the questions Kickstarter requires. And if you look at the videos of other projects of our scale, they're all pretty campy. None of the people who launch projects are, you know, TV personalities, and we're actually toward the higher end of what gets
Now,
sent
in the
there.
Kickstarter, you don't want to mention anything about, you know, pharmacies need to monitor.
Yeah, what about hospitals?
Temperatures, hospitals need to monitor.
We're trying to
Restaurants need to
maintain...
monitor, you know,
We
all the
kind of mentioned it
temperatures.
toward the end there a little bit as a forward-looking statement, but Kickstarter really is trying to maintain focus on a more consumer market. Businesses seldom frequent Kickstarter and make large pledges, and what we have here right now can't be used in restaurants or pharmaceutical because those require certifications we can't currently
Oh,
afford.
okay.
So the reason why we had backed away, as you remember, we initially had focused very strongly on restaurant work. But now we've pulled away from that because to get NSF certified sensors is very expensive. Well beyond the scope of anything anyone in this room could combine with their resources, tens of thousands of dollars. The same goes for pharmaceutical, HIPAA compliance and stuff like that, where you have to be able to 100% guarantee this is going to work 100% of the time, and they have their own types of certifications required. It's just well beyond the scope of where we're at. So we're going to start with the simple and the inexpensive of the consumer. We're going to use that as a platform to launch into more commercial ventures, which is an excellent segue, Dad, thank you. Commercial ventures. So we're not entirely ignoring commercial ventures, even as we are focusing on our Kickstarter launch. So as you, actually, let's start there. As you may know, we, it's not gonna, there we go. As you may know, we've been in talks with Bellagio's Pizza to be able to do tests at their unit. We've done one site survey and mapped out everything, and once we have food safe sensors, or if we're putting our sensors in areas that don't require the maintenance of a food grade environment, they're going to allow us to do testing in there for about 3 months, which is a really great opportunity for us to be able to test our sensors. Also, very recently, which you may not be aware of, we were able to pause this. We were able to secure an interview with the owner of Panzer Nursery. You may know them as, you are based on 185th Avenue, there's like a turnaround and a whole bunch of greenhouses there. And there's another set off of 229th by where Judy goes to school and Warren goes to church. We have a combined 600 acres of greenhouses. They grow azaleas, and that is all they grow. And this week, actually, the owner had a sit-down meeting with me. We walked through his greenhouses, so we had a really great conversation. And he's giving us a key to one of their 1,000-foot by 1,000-foot greenhouses so we can do our sensor tests in his greenhouse. In addition to that, outside the scope of strictly what I just passed around here, he's interested in us using the sensor part of our platform to interface with his existing HVAC system. He has some issues with what he already has that controls the fans and the vents inside of his greenhouses, and they are very interested in what we might be able to bring to the table as far as sensors that can interface with their system. If we can successfully do a demo, that represents actually a much larger sale than what even Kickstarter stands to generate. And the hardware he's asking us to construct is significantly less expensive than what we just passed around, because he doesn't need the radios in the board. He doesn't really need much of anything except sensors and a way of interfacing that with what he has already. So that was actually a really exciting meeting. He was very friendly, very cool, and he's very interested in helping a local business and working with local business. So we're very pleased about that.
So on a greenhouse like that that's 20 by 50, how many sensors do you have to put in there to be accurate?
They currently put 1 sensor per house. We're going to be putting 4 in because it's huge. It's not 20 by 30, it's 1,000 by 1,000.
How many greenhouses were
600 acres. I couldn't, so at the site by Judy's school, they have 70. But those aren't 1,000 by 1,000. Those are about 1,000 by 200. And there's 70 of those. And that's not the majority of it. The majority is off of 185th. They're apparently one of the largest azalea growers in the United States. And that was the only one that answered my emails and calls, which I'm pleased about. I've contacted several nurseries, and the biggest one I contacted answered. In addition, a friend of mine from high school has been in touch with me through Facebook over this project, and he works with the IEEE, it's the International Engineering Association, and there's a group within them they call HTC, or Engineering for Change. It's a non-government organization, and he put me in touch with the director of this organization here, this subgroup of the IEEE. They run clinics in the Amazon, and they have sensors in there for collecting medical information, specifically like radiation exposure in their x-ray labs and stuff like that. But they are very interested in getting online. So whereas the greenhouse is more interested in just our sensors, the Engineering for Change organization is more interested in using our platform so that in the United States they can have a website on their phone or on their computer that shows all the different clinics that they're operating in the Amazons and what kinds of metrics that they're monitoring with their systems are recording. So if there's issues, they can immediately enact change because the people down there aren't necessarily qualified to do so. So that one's very much more early on. We've just been introduced and had a few exchanges, but it's a really exciting opportunity to be able to work with a really worthy cause and to find something that's not just environmental sensors to really test our platform on. I don't want to be pigeonholed into, oh, well, that's a wireless temperature sensor. It's not. It's a whole platform for sensing in any kind of value and then reporting exceptions to any other device. And that's really what we're excited about for that. And I lost my spot, sorry. In addition, there's another opportunity that we have available to us, which is called Insert Coin New Challengers. And this is Engadget. They're a tech blog. They're owned by AOL, and it's actually one of the more popular technology websites on the internet. So this is a challenge that's going to be happening March 16th and 17th, hitting what they selected as the top 10 up-and-coming technology companies and their products, and it's not necessarily up-and-coming, but, you know, close enough, against each other. And on this Wednesday, there's going to be a People's Choice vote among those top 10. And all 10 of those go to a conference in San Francisco on the 16th and 17th of March, just to kind of be able to go. The top 5 of those from the People's Choice Awards go and compete against each other in a very real way. It's going to be videotaped on Engadget's website, and they're competing for basically a first and second place prize of a $5,000 grant and a $20,000 grant for their product. It also includes that when their Kickstarter campaign goes live, that Engadget will review their product and publish it. So it's a significant amount of exposure, as well as the potential to receive a lot of capital without exchanging any equity in your company. It's like Shark Tank, but more like Goldfish Tank, because the sharks don't get anything out of the deal. So, that said, I can't actually announce our Kickstarter campaign today, even though we've done all this work to get it up and running. It's mildly disappointing, but I can't, because I have to push a button. Because we are one of the semi-finalists in this campaign. So us, along with 9 other small startups like ourselves, very small, are going to San Francisco on the 16th and 17th to compete our ideas against each other in the hopes that ours will win. As part of the grounds of participating in this contest, we can't launch our Kickstarter campaign until the week of the event. So it's actually running during the event. It's kind of part of the point of having. So, one of the nice things is we received a $1,000 stipend for our travels. It's not necessarily going to cover everything for Laura and I, or Laura and I and Judy to go, but it covers a lot of it. And we might try to think over all of it, right?
You've done that before.
Yeah. But beyond that, though, the exposure. This website actually went live last night, late last night, and
Here you are.
that's what I just passed around the room.
Awesome.
So we are in the running. It's really exciting. We are on this Wednesday. You can see actually on your little handout thing, right after the enclosures, details. You don't need to read it all, but it kind of details, yeah, what the Expand conference is and who's going to be speaking there. So that 10.8 or 8, oh whatever, the gaming console running Android. The CEO of that company is going to be speaking at the conference. Kickstarter, which is the website that we're launching our campaign on. Kickstarter's on here. One of the co-founders of Kickstarter is going to be speaking at the conference. One of the lead mechanical engineers at NASA is going to be speaking there. The company Lauren works for, they have designed lean production monitoring systems for a company in California called Intuitive Surgical. And the senior director of research from Intuitive Surgical is speaking at the conference. So that's kind of cool. It's a small world thing.
So the grand prize is $20,000.
The grand prize is $20,000. We've already received $1,000. Well, we kind of received $1,000. And you can actually win the People's Choice Award on the 16th and 17th, as well as the Editor's Choice Award. So the grand total you could be awarded with is $26,000. I have a feeling probably it'll end up becoming more like a first prize, second prize situation, though, where 2 separate entities will win those.
So when you go here, you're going to get exposure?
Yes.
All these people are going to know about your...
Yes. So not only will these people know about what we're doing, but if we're in the top 5, we demo it to everyone at the conference. So as you can see toward the back, we're going to want some help from everyone who cares at all a tiny bit about the company. And people who aren't here today, I'm going to their houses and dropping these off. On this Wednesday, this website turns into a voting website. And the 10 competitors on this page get voted on by people who visit this website. It's only the top 5 at the end of the week. Or it might be next Wednesday. They just announced it.
It's 9 days of voting.
Is it 9? Okay.
9 days of
So,
voting.
this Wednesday...
They announced the winner March 1st.
Yeah.
They announced
They
March 1st.
announced the top 5.
Sorry, thank you.
Yes.
Right. So, February 20th, going for 9 days, everyone who's anyone in Oregon is going to hear about this and want to vote for my product because only the top 5 are the ones who actually get to demo it. It's the best experience. March 1st, they announced those top 5. Either way, whether we win this or not, we still go to the conference. By virtue of going to the conference and having our name on this website, it really secures the opportunity for our Kickstarter campaign to be successful. With this level exposure, we're going to be bringing business cards basically with the voting website and with the website for backing our campaign to the conference. Everyone who goes there is going to walk away knowing what Observos is and that they do or don't want to back it. They're going to have information on how to pledge money toward making this a success. Laura and I are extremely excited. This basically solidifies that our Kickstarter campaign will be a success, even if it's just $30,000, and gives us the opportunity to earn almost that much just in grant money with no exchange of company equity and product. So that's kind the really big exciting news for what we've been working on. So February 20th is when you vote for the top 5, and then March 16th and 17th, there's another vote for the top 1. So those are the 2 voting dates that everyone's going to need to be aware of to cast their vote. If you go to our website, at the top there, observos.com/expand, as each of these dates happen, we'll have the website updated to let everyone know that voting is happening. And
You're gonna have a link to your website, so we can.
yep, of course, yes. The website will have a link to our Kickstarter campaign when it's live, which will be right on March 15th. And it'll also have a link to vote for us on the days that voting is open. And if I think everyone in this room is on the mailing list, but we'll be sending emails out to everyone on the mailing list letting them know to vote for us when that time arises, probably the day before.
And Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah,
and
Facebook,
Google+.
Twitter, every possible voice that we have, you will be using that voice and exercising until it's hoarse.
What do the ones investing in the Kickstarter, what did they get?
If you back a Kickstarter campaign, you get a product. So if I give the mill amount people $50, I get back amount for my phone. If I give Observos $150, I give back 2 sensors. No exchange of company equity, just warm fuzzy feelings that you got a product off the ground and up and running. A lot of people participate also because they like to have something no one else has, or it fills a need that they can't find.
Well, when you say they get 2 sensors, the sensors without a receiver is not as much value.
Well,
So I just,
one is a sensor, but it's also a receiver. So they get a sensor for outside and a receiver for inside. And that goes up to, the pledge levels max out, I believe, at 5.
No, every pledge will be a complete product by itself and usable.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to tell what the temperature is outside your house and inside, and the humidity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Inside and out.
And air pressure. So if you, we haven't solidified the pricing points, but if you back us for, I believe $600 is something very high. It's our highest level pledge point, basically. You get 5. You get 4 sensors and 1 receiver, basically. So you could have one in your attic, one in your basement, one outside, one in your garage. Put them everywhere. Especially good for people who are smaller nursery operators. That was our hope for that, is they might not have a lot of money, but they might have a couple of greenhouses and they want to put a sensor in each of those.
That's a good idea.
So it's kind of a commercial aspect, but it's still trying to keep the scope small enough where it's reasonable. I think that was my last website, and I think I am pretty much done.
So you hang these up any public place?
Yes, your school, church, work, Taco
Get
Bell.
everyone to vote.
Any
Get your whole
place-
church to vote.
Any place that
Get your-
allows you to hang them.
My school's gonna
I
be
would
voting.
appreciate
All
it.
of my students will vote.
But
Get extra credit.
I would ask 5 points.
Deep breath, Judy.
I would ask
Relax.
that you don't put them underneath people's windshield wipers. Don't hang them up in places that don't want them. Nothing that's going to get me a phone call saying, hey, we're calling, you're in trouble, because I don't want to be in trouble. We just want to put up where people can ask that it's okay to hang something, and we'll hang them up.
So when you scan this with your smartphone, what does
It
just
takes
say-
you just to the website.
Okay, but is there like a button right there for you to push to look for you?
It depends
or-
on the phone. Oh, yeah, it depends on the time. So, not right now, there's no voting anything, but on Wednesday, there'll be a vote for us button, and when you click on that, it'll take you to a page to vote. You have to verify your identity, you have to make an account on Engadget, because they don't allow duplicate votes.
It makes sense, but
Yeah, they don't want
it's gonna
duplicate votes. It ties into Facebook, so you don't actually have to make an account through their website. It just says you want to approve your Facebook account. So if you are on Facebook, you don't have to make an account for them. You just use your Facebook login. So yeah, that is our campaign. We're very excited about the opportunity to San Francisco and demonstrate our product and potentially win against some other competitors. Anyone have any other questions?
my only thought was, I don't like to see you eliminate a lot of potential in there. I'm probably maybe an exception to the rule when we come to I've got a freezer in a location in a separate building that I'd like to see monitored. But I don't think that would be that remote, because there's lots of people that have a refrigerator and freezers in a location in a basement,
Right.
and if it would go out on, whether they're on a trip, because you've got that in there saying, you can see it on your smartphone, it would send you a message.
Correct.
If people are on a trip, that kind of stuff would, to me, would be of real interest to somebody to say, well, you know, you can have it to, you know, when you're starting out there, something as simple as a refrigerator, freezer that's remotely put, even when you're on a trip, they could go bad, or then you get into all the rest of the stuff that's higher, you know, the people
Right.
that,
I see what you mean. Like provide potential use cases
yeah,
at the beginning
right,
of
to
the
give more
page.
usage of it to individuals. Because if that falls into a range that there's a lot of people that are interested in, even if it's just a $150
Exactly.
item,
Right.
you might send 1 million of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, to me, that's a real potential.
It is, and we do plan on having that moving toward the
I
top
know
use
you do.
cases.
I'm just saying in something like that,
Yeah.
to hit a lot more people that are out there just looking for something, well, okay, I could see where that would have a lot of interest in maybe a lot more people.
Right.
You know, how many people have greenhouses in their place, or how many people
Yeah.
make their own wine? I mean, you're going to hit those too, because you've already stated those.
Right.
But there's a big potential in there that,
No,
I think that
you're
could be
absolutely right.
thought about. You know.
It was actually really interesting because I kind of gave the overview of what we were when I was at the nursery at the beginning of our meeting, and then we talked about his nursery and how our association will develop and everything. And then at the end of our meeting, we met for about an hour and 20 minutes or so. And at the end of it, he says, you know, at the beginning of your thing, you mentioned that, you know, these sensors, you mentioned some cases of where you can use them like in a wine cellar or something. He said, you're absolutely right. I was thinking about that. I would want one of these because I have a wine cellar, and 2 bottles of wine would more than pay for that.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, if you want to advertise me, look into what it costs to take out a small ad in some of these magazines that are for that demographic, you might make your entire campaign just by pulling one ad.
Yeah.
And you know, there's other cases, you know, if you have a summer home, those summer homes usually still keep the internet and power on because there's no real usage. And if the furnace goes out in that, you could ruin all the pipes over a winter, and you're nowhere even in the same state sometimes.
Now, you've kind of covered the basis, let's say, on the lower end of it, but even though at present you don't have the capability or the money or whatever it takes to develop the other end of it, the specialized end
Right.
of it when it comes, but I don't see a problem with mentioning it. You can say, our long-term potential of this is to be able to monitor refrigeration in, you know,
Yeah.
in restaurants and in, you know, the stuff that has to be monitored
Yeah.
and then reported.
So, in the last video, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but basically this welcome letter is a lot of what's going to be on the Kickstarter backing page. And it does say, in the future, you know, Observos will be the backbone of a comprehensive sensing control network, providing essentially an if this, then do that interface for the real world. Where the temperature gets too high, open a vent, or the soil gets too dry, turn on the irrigation system. And I say, you know, we have test plan for NSF certified probes for use in restaurants, catering, and supermarket food production and storage. We're also partnering with the health clinics and
Okay, now that's covered in literature.
right. Yeah, we
But
might
not
need
as
that
far as on
add
your
an extra video portion that kind of outlines the future
Yeah,
where
but
we see it.
is that, how would the people understand that or know that if it wasn't on your Kickstarter?
That is on the Kickstarter. That will be on the Kickstarter page.
No, but talking wise.
We're not gonna.
video.
So Kickstarter has a video and then a block of text, basically, and then the opportunity to back a campaign.
But just like what you said there, most of the people that aren't successful at it don't
No,
put out
because
a
they
video.
don't mention it, right?
Right.
Usually with Kickstarter, you go and watch the video, and then if the video piques your interest, you read through the text.
Yeah, I want him to pique your interest.
Yeah.
Do you know for sure this is going to be on TV?
I do not know for sure if it's going to be on TV. If we are one of the top 5 semi-finalists, it stands a lot better chance at it. I do know for sure it'll be on, the video of the product will be on Engadget's website. Engadget is a blog owned by AOL, who has many relationships with several other TV channels that focus on technology. So it hasn't been mentioned to us, but AOL hasn't really been all that communicative since we got signed up. But we spent a lot of time getting papers notarized and emailing back and forth, trying to get all this finished within their time frame, which also was disgustingly short. We had
AOL also
less
owns
than
a cable
24
company.
hours. Yeah.
You know, another potential market is these remote weather stations. A lot of the news stations on TV have remote weather stations at public schools and colleges and everywhere, you know, where they set up a little temperature sensor and humidity sensor, and you know, you could add a couple of sensors. We already have barometric pressure, humidity, temperature. Maybe you can add a few more, you know, like
Like
one that's an
open door.
anemometer and
Yeah.
and
An
you know,
open door, a sensor, I think would really be a
something that can pick up the
neat thing.
the
Oh, I'm
the
on a
wind,
trip of
the
my-
airflow, and a few other things, and you can make a remote weather station that just is totally wireless. You don't have to have it wired. It could be located anyway. You don't have to worry about, you know, the wires breaking.
Yeah, we
going
played
through.
with the idea of building a rain gauge, but at this point, we really are trying to. We have 27 days from today to the day we have to have a really slick working demo. That's the part I forgot. So yeah, what I just passed around will win. Hands down will win, right? It needs to work. It needs to work really well. It needs to look good because it's a people's choice. It's a opinion poll basically, and people don't vote for circuit boards that kind of work or for really, you know, blocky graphs. People vote for things that look pretty, both in their hand, that, you know, the light on ours is either solid or kind of jerky flashes, or, you know, it's not exactly aesthetically pleasing. The graphing and everything, it doesn't look like something you'd find in a first-class system. So for the next 27 days, also we only have 3 prototypes, and we need at least 4 just to hit the 4 corners of the conference hall. So part of our current, what we're doing is we are working on several different points. We're placing orders for 12 more sensors using the new model that you saw, the one we've been working on that's much smaller. We could build them cheaper because it's smaller, but now we're spending a lot more money on enclosures, which we hadn't done before. So getting plastics cut and shaped, not just using an X-Acto knife and some acrylic in our house, but actually having a company machine them so they look good. I feel that that's really important to our success. If someone sees something and it looks like something that could be purchased and hung up today on their wall, that's what they'll vote for. They're not going to vote for something that's in a Tupperware box that rattles when they pick it up and, you know, the battery falls out. It really needs to look good, it needs to look professional. The website we're working on making that look a lot more professional so that we're doing a demo that really gets people to see and believe in it. If you look, I'll send out a link to this page, but if you look at some of the other contestants, one of them is just a 3D model of it. They don't even have one built yet. Another one, though, it's a nice, all put together looking system. So they have a very wide spectrum. I would say we really do fall in the middle of the participants in this contest. Some are further along than us, some appear to be much earlier, at a much earlier stage than we are. I aim between now and the next 27 days to be at the top of that list as far as this is something that looks like it came out of a box from Fred Meyer, and I'm going to go hang it up today. So our demo at the moment is looking like in each of the 4 corners of the conference hall, I want to have one in a little small plastic greenhouse that has water and you know, soil or something in it. It's just really humid. And another one that has a Sterilite box with some desiccant in it, so it's really dry, and maybe some old comic books that I have from my father. And another one in another corner that maybe has like a little small model house. And another one in another corner that will pick up a few cheap bottles of wine and put them on a wine rack. And if you go by our booth, each of them will say, see our booth at this. If they go by our booth, they see a laptop that has all 4 of those, and it says summer home, wine cellar, comic book collection, greenhouse. And it has a nice graph or nice values, and I can do a nice pitch that gives us the exposure and the professionalism that would really ensure that We impress the editors that are doing the scoring and the consumers who are, or the viewers who are doing the scoring.
Can you expand it to a home freezer?
Yeah.
Because the home freezer, would give the idea that you could do the freezer capacity, but you don't have to be certified.
Yeah, you can go, but we can't do a demo in a trade hall with
It'd
a
be
freezer.
really hard to take a freezer to a.
I can't check a
Conference
freezer
hall.
on the airplane.
Ice chest.
Yeah, we might do an ice chest. That might work.
I was thinking maybe a sunlight.
And if you drive, you'll be able to take these things with you more easily.
Yeah, and that was one of the concerns we were worried about. Is if we end up going, we're thinking about going with a projector. I really don't want to risk damaging one, on an airplane flight or having a bag get misplaced and it's really throwing off our. We don't have much time, and when we arrive, we need to be able to set everything up and make a good show. I don't want to say, hey, sorry, we had a good idea, but something happened.
I like your cooler idea, because you can strap it and put your delicate equipment inside
Yeah, put everything in the cooler and transporting it.
It's only
Get a bag of ice and throw it in there.
It's
Block
only
of dry ice from them.
it's only a 1 day drive to San Francisco. It's I mean, it's
10 and a half hours.
a long day.
Unless
but,
I'm driving. Then it's more like 6.
oh, you drive like
6 and 4 tickets later, we're there.
you drive